Hey guys, new video here. This is Animate Guardian Chains of Command. It's a kind of build I've never played before. Let me get out my AG. I'm going to just pure. Oh wait, I can't cast him with my mana. Let me him out with the mana now, and let me turn this guy back on in a second here. There we go. And I'm going to show you this pure Chubby Breach Zone. It's a eye level 83 zone, and we'll do the boss kill so you can see the gameplay. So the build revolves around the AG spawning the weapons. The weapons also sometimes spawn the weapons. And the Writhing Jar, I have two of them. And what those are doing is that they are spawning worms for a little bit extra chance of anime weapon spawns. If you look on the top left, you can see the number of minions I have. And it's a lot, right? It's about 50. So 50 Star Forces, that's the weapon I've chosen to use. It is an Impale build. And basically the Star Forces, they have like a really wide aggro radius, and they just kill everything. They have a little bit of AoE. The AG does a lot of single target. The AG also has some AoE, and he's got some Ascendant gentle touch gloves on, so you see those little sand explosions. Those are the Ascendant. You can see the melee splash going off, and all I'm doing is I'm shield charging to get my fortify. It's a very tanky build. 78 all res, 88 Chow's resist, and as you see here, super tanky, right? Nearly impossible to die, even though I have 4.6k HP, because I have a lot of block, I have a shield, ons, right, max res, and I have a thing called Divine Flesh, which is through one of the glorious Vanity's jewels, which I'll show you in a second here. But first, I just want to demonstrate the clear for this. A lot of weapons going out, right? I convocate to get the weapons on top of a target if I need to, or to get them closer to me. For example, right here, I'm staying ahead of the breach. Pop my VMS that absorbs about 3,000 damage, and then here we go. And here is the boss kill. I go in here, convocate on top of the boss, and the weapons just they kill the boss pretty easily. Okay, so this is gonna be a very quick video, and this is just the proof of concept, because my version, the Impale version, it's a little bit scuffed in terms of, I just didn't want to do the auras, right? Most people do auras. So what I'm using is on my AG, he has a Star Force, because the weapon summoned from the whatever's on your anime guy. See, he's using a Star Force, so all my AGs are Star Forces. So he's using a Star Force, he's using a Mask of the Stitch Demon, so that he can regen the necessary EHP, because he's also using Infernal Legion here. Right, Infernal Legion is because that Righteous Fire aura that he has basically kills the worms, as you'll see right here. If I pop a worms, right, I pop a worms, he doesn't even need to really hit it to kill it, because the Infernal Legion will kill it, and he'll start spawning AWs in the top left here. So Mask of Stitch Demon, you need a rare armor with a open prefix, so you can craft gain, it's like a percentage of, I think it's 10% health as extra ES, and that works really well in synergy with Mask of Stitch Demon. The other affixes you're looking for are probably going to be things like additional curse for the Ascendants, and then maybe every 5 seconds regen 15% of maximum health over 1 second, right? That's a lot of regen. You can see with this current setup, even though he has Infernal Legion on, which is basically like a righteous, it's basically a righteous fire, he doesn't lose any HP. And he did die once to Awakener, because he was standing in a puddle for too long fighting Awakener, and the puddles stop all regen, so that's how he died. But the first Awakener I did, he didn't die. He can tank all the beams. The beams barely do anything to him. Even the last phase triple beam that would kill most characters, the AG doesn't die to, right? It's just the degen ground. This build not very good at bosses, because you're very reliant on the number of AWs you have, and it's just near impossible to keep up a decent amount of AWs, anime weapons, on any kind of bosses, unless there's like a lot of mobs beforehand. So Conquerors are fine, you know, these Breach Swords are fine, it's just Awakener that's a little bit silly, and maybe Shaper as well. So now what we're going to look at is we're going to quickly go over the gear. Gloves, I just have resist. You want to cap out your Chow's res, because 88%, that's huge, right? Because I'm using Divine Flesh, which is over here, and basically the damage, 50% of the LA damage is taken as Chow's damage, right, after the mitigations, and then so it's a huge mitigation for the character. That's where most of the defenses comes in. I have some physical reduction if I want to go like Soul of Steel, and also some of these bigger nodes, if you take the one up here, can give you physical reduction as well, right? but I fortify on the shield charge as well. So basically the rares are just going to be life and resist, paying close attention to the chalice resist. You can see the boots as well. Chalice resist, movement speed, nothing too crazy on any of these items. The belt is life and resist. Some flask stuff because you are very reliant on your flasks. And then the chains of command is here. Rings, you don't need that much mana. You only need enough mana for the shield charge. So rings are going to be, one of them is going to be vulnerability on hit because this is a physical impale build. So vulnerability is the best one that you can get very easily on a ring like that. Aspect of the spoder so that they take more damage and they're a little bit slower. So it's offensive and defensive. One's going to try to fill up as much mana as you can. And then the other ring is just challenge resist. If you can get minion movement speed or minion damage, that is pretty good as well. But really you're just trying to shore up resist and get a little bit of life. This one is an Owls with Pride. So the Pride reserves no mana, usually be a 50% reservation. The On's Heritage is a good choice here because +3 max resist. Really crazy here, right? Because this also applies to the Chow's resist. Now, if you want, you can do a Victario's Charity and go over to Necromantic Aegis for 5 points. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. And then that'll give frenzy charges. Oros naturally gets frenzy charges, which is kind of nice. But that's another damage option there. I chose a defensive option because it's just like really nice to be tanky. Then you have a wand. Wand, you're just looking for minion damage, minion attack speed because this is an attack based build. The minions don't cast, unlike things like slave drivers and stuff like that. So, and then trigger socketed spell. Trigger socketed spell inside, I'm doing Tempest Shield for a little bit extra block, Desecrate, and then Flesh Offering. Desecrate before the Flesh Offering, and so it will give you, that's a big damage boost. Spirit, Bone Offering are the defensive offerings that you can try out, but for maps and like this kind of content, I found that Flesh Offering was much better. Helmet is a, you really only need if you were to be, like I have a wider search this late in the league, I guess like +3 minion gems and then maybe minion life or damage. They are, if you can get all of them on here, it's going to be pretty nice. And then that is about it for the gear. Let's go to the links. So Generosity is just for the Dread Banner because this is an Impale build, okay? There are plenty of Oros builds out there, but for the Impale version, I wanted as high Impale chance as possible. So since I have 40 from the gem, the Dread Banner gives the remaining. So Generosity, Dread Banner, and the Generosity doesn't affect the Skitterbots, but the Enlighten affects everything. So Skitterbots for the Shock and Chill. In here, I just have a regular Abyssal Jewel with whatever you can get for your minions and for yourself. In here, faster attacks with the shield charge and fortify. Fortify is a big defensive, and then Purity of Elements is in here as well. Purity of Elements is to give all your minions around you some big resists, and for yourself as well. In the shield, I have Convocation. Convocate basically brings all your minions to you, gives them a little bit of regen, really nice. You spam that because it counts as a minion skill in case you have Abyssal Jewels that have damage for minions if you've used a minion skill recently, okay? The triggered ones don't work for that kind of stuff. You have to cast it yourself, so Convocate works. All right, because if you look at the Convocation, tagged is minion. Pride is my free aura from my amulet, and then a Molten Shell is the defensive. And then in here, this doesn't need to be linked. The Chains of Command is the AW, is the anime weapon setup, right? So they have Impale, they have Awakened Minion damage, they got the Multi-Strike, they got the Ruthless, they got the Melee Fizz, and they have the Brutality. If you're just like full on map clearing, minion speed's not bad to use, I guess. And there's some other swaps that you can do in there, but once again, I wanted a very high Impale chance. In the helmet, I have my my AG. So for regular map clean, I should be using Feeding Frenzy, right? Feeding Frenzy pretty good, makes them more aggressive. But for this, I just want more tankiness, right? So I wanted Meat Shield, Infernal Legion to take care of the worms, and then the Impale on him, and then obviously the AW, and then in the helmet, he's supported by minion life, minion damage, and he's basically has a level 4 in power on him from the helmet as well. The way that you're going to play this is these two flasks, the Writhing Jars, they create worms, right? Which is supplementary AWs, and then also at the beginning of the map, you have to have them for the AWs, right? Well, you don't have to, you can charge in, just a little bit less safe. The Rummies is for block chance and for some armor. So when I hit the Rummies, I hit my thing, I have 2000 here, right? And then that right here we have Quicksilver, so I can move faster, and then a Life Flask of Animation gives recovery to all my minions, which is pretty sick as well. And you can spam these, right? Because if you look on the tree, it seems I forgot to take Pathfinder because I respec'd earlier to see if you could respec without taking the notes. Yeah, the build seems to be pretty good because I didn't even take my Pathfinder ascendancy here. Look at that. So I couldn't even spam my flask as much. I didn't have it assigned. Okay, now I have it assigned. So yeah, pretty good build. So as a Scion, you're gonna take the Pathfinder so you can spam more Worm Flasks, more flasks overall. Because without your Worm Flask, you know you can't do the bosses at all, right? Well, the longer bosses, not this Chibier maps. And then the Necromancer is pretty nice. Just you can have a host of minion passives there, so that's really nice. That's a Scion. Other important things is we have a Fortress Covenant down here because I don't take any of these notables, so it's not a detriment and it's only a benefit to my minions. And then obviously you need a Divine Flesh somewhere. It doesn't have to be here. Initially I was taking it up here, but I want to take Fearsome Force, and then this Glorious would remove the Fearsome Force and change it to other nodes, so I didn't want that. Taking life where you can, minion damage where you can, and then I took both of the skill effect nodes because that affects the AWs, okay? And then the Watcher's Eye is just 50% Child's Resist if Purity of Elements. That's the most important role. So that brings me up to, like, you see how much I have here? It's a lot, right? So that's pretty nice. I anointed Grave Intentions, and then what I did is I took a Thread of Hope medium with -10, and I took Cruel Prep, and I took Ravenous Horde, and yep, that's pretty good right there. I mean, I guess if you don't want this, I don't know if you can unspec that node, but you can probably unspec this node and just take this if you don't care about this life node. That's kind of cool too. And that's about it. Ghastly Eye Jewels, just anything minion related is good. I'm Impale, so I went with just physical damage. If you're the Oros version, you go fire damage. But the Oros version is like completely different with the auras and the links and everything. So this is just if you want to go Impale, because Impale is OP. And then for the Pathfinder stuff, I just started here and I took some Flask nodes, right? That is actually really hilarious that I forgot to assign the Pathfinder to my actual Sensei. Wow. And then other than that, that's about it. You can kind of this build is all about like looking really cool with the weapon of choice. I thought the Oros, the reason I really didn't go Oros is because it doesn't look as good as Star Force, and Impale's really OP, so I want to change up the build instead of just yoinking someone else's. Other than that, you know, you can see the stuff I'm using here. It's a pretty fun build. It's a pretty fun build. It's a build I've never played before. I'll have the POB below, and yeah, I'll try to keep this video short so you can just look at the POB and make. It's really versatile. You can make whatever changes really that you want on this build. This is just how I've built it, and it's been really fun so far. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching my video. Okay, bye guys, bye.